Hello everyone, welcome to Adira's Easy Talks. In the last video, we were talking about Old English literature. And in this video, we'll be looking at the rest of the portion, the remaining session of Old English literature. So let's move on. Old English literature was mostly oral and it came down to us in four manuscripts. That is the Junius manuscript, the Exeter book, the Vercelli book, and Novel Codex. This Novel Codex is otherwise called as KTET Vitellius manuscript, and that is the Beowulf manuscript. Okay. As I said before, Old English poetry was oral. It was full of certain unique features. It is bold and strong. When you speak to someone, you might use a language in an attractive manner. You might use effect, right? That is, you use stress, you adjust your pitch in certain manner, then you use intonation, etc. And this is the way this Old English poetry used language. Okay, it was bold and strong, mournful and elegiac, and it is full of emotions. It is about heroes and their achievements. But it is also about the futility of human life, very important. Old English literature understood that human beings are all powerful. The greatness of the human being, the brilliance of human life is a feature of Renaissance, and that is what we call it as humanism. And this humanism as a revolution, as a movement started from 14th 15th century onwards. But looking into this area of literature, that is Old English literature, it is not humanistic. It is about the futility of human life. Whatever achievements you have in this world will end with what? Death. That is why they sing the glory of the heroes. Okay. Old English literature use certain linguistic features. That is alliteration. What is alliteration? When you read a poem, you might be identifying alliteration, right? The same thing. That is repetition of consonant sounds. They also employed features like kenning, Kenning. Kenning. Kenning is a descriptive phrase, an elaborate phrase. Instead of saying one word, you describe the thing that you are saying. That is kenning, okay? And all these features are found in the Old English epic, which is that we have in our prescribed syllabus, which is Beowulf. I'll be taking the detailed session of Beowulf in another video, but we will be looking the gist of it. Okay. So, talking about Beowulf, it is an epic in two parts. Beowulf is a Geatish hero, that is the tribe Geat. Okay. This is a story set in Scandinavia, that is in the north part. In the first part of Beowulf, he is a brave warrior. He is helping the Danish king, Hrothgar. The palace of Hrothgar is called Heret, Herot. Heret. And there is monster Grendel. There is a monster Grendel. You can find three monsters in the poem, the epic. The first monster is Grendel. And what he is doing, he is troubling people of the country. Beowulf is injuring Grendel, and the Grendel's mother, a bloody, revengeful monster, she comes for revenge. The story shows the great warrior, his achievements, then good and evil fighting, finally or ultimately the death of the hero. There are so many values of life that are told through these epics. Okay, then in the second session of, or in the second part of this epic, uh, he is the king of Geats, whom the Beowulf is the king of Geats, and a sea monster is troubling the country. Beowulf kills the sea dragon. He wounds the dragon, and he is wounded he is wounded himself. Okay, he is wounded by the sea dragon. Both died. This same situation happens in Shakespeare's Hamlet also. In the end, what happens? Hamlet and Laertes fight. They have a duel, and they both kill each other. Okay, but there is a great difference between death of the hero and death of the villain. When Beowulf dies, the entire community mourns his death. There are Geatish women who mourn the death of Beowulf, and this mourning is a ritual there. There is a lot of community feeling at the end of Beowulf. Talking about Beowulf, you could say that the story is about human life, number one. Number two, its futility. Number three, what is enduring in human life? What a hero represents, not an individual community. How memory leads to a community history. Then the ending is the beautiful part of the epic. There has been a lot of critical commentary on it. So you need to read those critical commentary. Many questions may be coming from that part also. Beowulf was perhaps the most important work when we analyze the Old English literature itself. Then, moving on to another writer, Caedmon, we have Caedmon School, modeled on Caedmon, Cynewulf School, modeled on Cynewulf. Then these authors laid earliest tradition of Old English literature. They were scholars, especially Cynewulf, and he had a particular look to life. What is the philosophy of life? And that is what we see in those writers' works. Then you have Alfric. He wrote homilies. Then Ulston. He wrote Samson of the Wolf. These are all very important writers of that period. Okay, they sometimes commented about history, society. They talked about sin and the importance of devotion. And you have another important historical figure, another man, Venerable Bede. What he did is that he wrote Ecclesiastical History of English Race, and it is a very important historical document in the history of English literature itself. Talking about history, you cannot avoid one king, that is King Alfred. What he did is that he wrote Anglo-Saxon chronicles. He recorded the events of Anglo-Saxon period. You know, he's a king. He might not be doing that. He might be at might be placing some person to record all these things. Okay. Anyway, it is in his name. He wrote Anglo-Saxon chronicles. King Alfred is also believed to have made translation. That is, he had made some translations. I have included that in my slide. You can look at it. Boethius' Consolation of Philosophy, Orosius' History of the World, Gregory's Pastoral Rule or Pastoral Care. And these are all books translated by, as I said, translated by King Alfred. Then we have another important king. He's not actually an Anglo-Saxon king. He is not actually an Anglo-Saxon king. He is actually a Celtic king who fought against the Saxon. King Arthur also has a lot of legends associated with him. So we can look at the theme of Arthurian legends. What are those things coming into it? The first one, the story of Arthur and his wife Guinevere, Guinevere's love with Lancelot, the story of Tristram and Isolde, then the quest for the Holy Grail. And all these things are part of the Arthurian legends. And these Arthurian legends were all written by French people, mostly during the 12th century, that is the medieval period. Okay, I have collected some works from British literature. There might be a question from this area, I think so. So I have collected some works, that is some writers who wrote on the basis of these Arthurian legends. Number one, Tennyson. Tennyson, who wrote Lady of Shalott, Idylls of the King. Then Spencer wrote Fairy Queen. In that you have Arthur as a character. Okay. Then George Gascoigne wrote The Mask of Kenilworth. Dryden wrote King Arthur or the British Worthy. Walter Scott wrote Marmion. Then William Morrison wrote Defense of Guinevere. And also, you need to know a name, that is, he's a French writer of Arthurian legend, that is Christian des Troyes. When I analyzed the question paper of NET, I had found his name, so I think that it is important. Even though for HS or for any exams like which is related to English literature, you can have a crossword, right? So I have collected many question papers of NET because we in our syllabus of HSST we can have a trace of NET in the question pattern also. So I have made a connection with that also. Then again another work, A.C. Swinburne's Tristram of Lyoness. Then you have Matthew Arnold's Tristram and Isolde. Then T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland. Remember T.S. Eliot, The Wasteland, that we have in our syllabus. Then you need to know one more thing. I have found this in net exam question paper, that is, what is the name of Arthur's sword? Its name is Excalibur. Okay, don't forget the name. So that is all about Arthurian legends. I hope you will remember those works and writers. Then there is one more thing. You might know about Thomas Mallory's Mortady Arthur. So it again has a trace of this Arthurian legends too in it. And this Mortady Arthur means death of Arthur. That is actually Middle English, and that is in Anglo-Saxon period. Okay. Then talking about the elegies. Elegies originally means a passionate poem, and there are 7 major elegies in Anglo-Saxon period. So I have listed it in my slide. Dior, Wolf and Advisor, the wife's lament, the husband's message, the ruin, the wanderer, the seafarer. You can use a code to remember these things. Okay. Then finally, Anglo-Saxon period end with the Norman conquest. Remember the year, that is 1066 AD. That is in the 11th century. In the Norman conquest, William the Conqueror of Normandy defeated the Anglo-Saxon and established the Middle English period, and that marked the beginning of Middle English literature. So in the next video, we'll be looking at the Middle English literature in detail. So thank you all for your kind listening. Thank you. And to watch the other video also. Stay tuned to Adira's Easy Talks. Thank you.